This mother came onto the internet to tell us that she thinks her daughter's teacher is picking on her due to her grammar. So, what does she do? She writes a letter to the teacher. Let me show you guys the letter.
We're still trying to fix this problem in the classroom, and teachers are having a really hard time with these students. Why are they having a hard time? Well, they seem to think that it's because of maybe the parenting, maybe it's because of social media to some degree, but it seems to be really filtering towards the parenting, and the parents themselves are thinking that the teachers may not be doing their own jobs. So leave a comment and always want to have the discussion.
So one time my parent told me that she was going to come up to the school and show me what disrespect looked like. So this was many years ago, and her son had walked up to my teacher desk and he saw my water bottle and he slapped it off the desk. So naturally I was caught off guard and I was very upset about it. So I called the dean, I wrote an office referral, and I sent him to the dean's office. I reached out to the mom just to notify her what transpired and that I sent him to the office. And her response was, "That was stupid. I'm gonna come up to the school and show you what disrespect looks like." At the time, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little shook. I was a little scared. I mean, I'm a cutie patootie. I don't fight. And I share this story because as a new teacher, you may very well run into a parent who's going to hate your guts, sometimes for no reason at all. My advice for you is to never let them get you out of your character, but take every threat seriously, protect yourself, and know that you're not alone. All of us teachers have had a run-in with a crazy parent at one time or another.
My Roman Empire is that parent that was shocked that her child could not read and write and do math, and they're graduating with honors as a high school student. And I was like, I will tell you why those parents exist. Those parents would rather come to school and cuss out a teacher and be like, my kid deserves an A, even though the kid does not deserve an A at all. And teachers don't want to be verbally abused and verbally attacked, so a lot of teachers will just say, yep, that child deserves an A plus even though they know nothing. And the parents, this is why I said that school choice is not going to do what people think it is. All it does is make the parents happier and the kids dumber. And that sounds bad, I don't like that word, but I'm like, I've seen it happen. I'm like, they're like, I'm gonna put my kid in a private school. I'm like, okay, put them in a school that doesn't have certified teachers. Like, that's gonna be the best option for your child, right? People don't realize that learning takes place outside of the school grounds as well. And if you are not willing to do the extra learning on top of the school grounds, then you don't need to be a parent. I wish that there was more qualifications to be a parent. I understand that it goes into eugenics very quickly, but I don't care. And like, a lot of the parents are neglectful. They don't know what they're doing, and it's like the kids are suffering behind the scenes, and they're trying to pretend like it's the teacher's fault because it's easier to blame the teacher than it is to blame themselves because they realize that they're neglectful and they don't deserve to be a parent. And if your biggest accomplishment is having sex and having kids that you can't afford and that you do not have time for, then that says more about you than it says about me as an educator. I feel like we have just let this go on for way too long. We have let bad parenting become a thing for way too long, and now the teachers are suffering, and I'm sick of it.
I'm a former teacher and now parent, and parents and administrators and schools are destroying the fabric of society. And the thing is, they just don't realize it. I think I've discovered what the root cause of the problem is. And let's start with not the teachers. So first, you do know that teachers are quitting in astronomical numbers. And you also have heard that the American educational system, we are actually getting dumber. Students are doing worse than they did in the past. I'm sure that there's so many people out there saying, why? I don't get it. If you're not a teacher and you're not in a school, you don't realize, like, I don't understand why this is happening. And at its core, at the bottom, it's one thing. I think at this point, people have realized that gentle parenting doesn't work. What is gentle parenting? Gentle parenting is more permissive parenting, but what it truly is letting kids do anything and everything with no consequences and letting life be and making life be as easy as possible for them with little to no resistance. And the thing was, in the past, when parents used to do this, these couple kids that would show up at school, the school would slam the door on that attitude because they'd be like, there are consequences, you can be held back, all these things that would then kick the kid into action to be like, oh, I can't keep behaving like this because if not, then I can't exist in this school. I'm going to keep getting held back. I'm going to keep getting in trouble, et cetera, et cetera. But unfortunately, it's these gentle parents or the permissive parents who are also super entitled and started to come at administrators at schools and say, like, how dare you do stuff to my kid to have consequences? They would never blah, 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 and threaten lawsuits. Then in addition to that, schools are only getting money when they have less suspensions and less expulsions, and that they're not holding kids back. So then the schools are incentivized to push kids through. No Child Left Behind was awful because we need to leave kids behind.
Your daughter's kindergarten teacher is not picking on your daughter. She's saving her from generational illiteracy. This mother came onto the internet to tell us that she thinks her daughter's teacher is picking on her due to her grammar. So what does she do? She writes a letter to the teacher. Let me show you guys the letter. H-A-Y, hey. Not H-E-Y, but H-A-Y. Do you see where this is going? No commas, no periods, random capital letters, the misspellings. The only excuse you get is if English is not your first language. But that is not the case in this situation. This is why teachers are tired. Not only are they teaching 20, 25 kids, but they are also teaching the parents of these kids. If I was the teacher and I received that letter, I would just have to say, I'm sorry, ma'am, but the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. In fact, it rolled. Your daughter struggling with reading and writing is not a coincidence.
Bad parenting is picking up your kid from school and taking them to Chipotle because they don't like their third period teacher. I don't like judging people's parenting, but I've been a teacher a long time, and I've seen good parenting and I've seen bad parenting, and this feels really obvious. Apparently, there's a new trend going on where parents are doing just that, removing them from a tough situation, apparently in third period, and then rewarding them with Chipotle. It seems really specific, so I don't know if every parent is doing exactly this, but apparently they're willing to. And the big problem isn't with the people who are posting it, because there's always gonna be dumb takes on social media. It's with the comments. People are commenting, you go, take care of your baby, and that's just good parenting. And I'm like, what? Who raised y'all? As a teacher, this trend is wild to me. Your kid doesn't like their third period teacher, so you're gonna pick them up and take them to Chipotle? What is that teaching them? Some of them are saying how good their kid is, like somehow this makes them deserve that kind of treatment. And I don't care how good your kid is, if you're teaching them it's okay to bounce the second something gets uncomfortable, you're setting them up for failure. You're literally rewarding them for avoiding hard things. Come find me in 10 years when your kid can't handle a bad boss, who probably isn't even a bad boss. Your kid just doesn't know how to handle conflict. Life doesn't pause because you don't like someone. At some point, your kid is gonna have to work with someone they don't like. It's called adulting, and it's called being adaptable. If they don't learn that now, they're not lasting 5 minutes in the real world. Stop trying to be your kid's friend. You are their parent, not their friend. They have plenty of friends. Teach them that life isn't fair. Teach them how to deal with it anyway. I'm all about giving kids grace and giving kids second chances, but I'm also very much about giving kids a good dose of reality. And if you don't start preparing your kid for what the real world is like now, don't be surprised when they're still living down the hall from you 20 years from now.
I've been talking to a lot of parents lately, and especially around what it means to do one-on-one instruction with students as opposed to having a classroom. And the one-on-one side has always been really interesting to me because we've been able to see that the kids themselves, they get engaged. But in the classroom, it is tricky. So I can see how the teachers really do have a struggle. I can also see how the parents, maybe they're not getting enough information about the classroom because they're not in there, but the kids are really ultimately the ones that are struggling. So curious on what you think. Is this something that's even fixable? Should we be blaming parents? Should we be blaming the teachers? Should we be blaming the kids? But let me know what you think. Leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video.